Story 1. When you hang out with them, it feels like you're defusing a bomb when there's nothing going on right then. Edit. Why is my highest rated comment about the one friend I gave up on due to his need to yell at me over the smallest things? But seriously, I didn't expect so many people to have this problem too. I thought I was the only one who didn't realize this right away. Story 2. Really jealous and possessive friends. I'm a jealous person by nature, and even though my jealousy flares up when I see my friends hanging out with other people, I would never let them know. Why? Because I don't want them to feel bad about doing the things they love, for example, having a social life outside my little world. If a person tries to box you up because they want you all to themselves, it's not proof of love or companionship. True love, in any kind of relationship like friends, family, or lovers, is shown by respect and allowing the other person to have free will. Story 3. Friends who are good to you when one-on-one but constantly put you down in group settings. This is a big sign of insecurity or jealousy. Other signs: inappropriate attention-seeking behaviors, trying to twist the situation when confronted about things, not respecting your boundaries, being overly friendly with new people in a disingenuous, I want to be like the most way, constant gaslighting, getting mad at you for not following the exact same moral playbook as them, becoming uncomfortable in group settings, and trying to change the subject or put you down more if attention is on you, pretending they can take constructive feedback but actually taking it out on you in small ways throughout the rest of the day. Thank you for all the support and encouragement. Wish you all the best of luck in freeing yourselves from toxic friendships. Do not waste your time on people who do not treat you with the respect you deserve. Story 4. Inability or unwillingness to apologize when he or she does something wrong is symptomatic of an ego issue that will eventually infect every aspect of your friendship. Story 5. My best friend in high school once specifically requested for me to post a picture of us for National Best Friend Day or some similar holiday. I asked if she would be posting a picture of us too. No, I have a lot of best friends, but I'm your main best friend, so you should post a picture of us, was her response. The next couple of years were full of backstabbing and gaslighting, complete with occasional fallings out until we finally stopped speaking. Looking back, I can't believe I didn't see it coming. Story 6. They don't ask about you, they just turn every conversation to themselves. When you talk about exams, they don't ask how you did. They just talk about themselves. When you mention not sleeping well, they talk about how they didn't sleep. When you tell them you broke up with your significant other, they talk about their significant other. Story 7. When they push other people out of the friend group, it happened in my group where there were 5 of us. She joined and basically bullied 3 out of the group, but it wasn't obvious bullying. A lot of things changed, and the next thing I know, I'm being treated poorly to the point I hate myself. My friend and I managed to leave and make friends with the original 5 again. The one who pushed everyone out is very social, and no one really likes her because she's not nice, but she's now found herself with no friends. Story 8. You will gladly do a favor for them or help them out, but when you need something, they will not do it and act like you are ridiculous for asking. Also, when friends do not respect boundaries. Story 9. Good vibes only friends. That mentality is fine to have with yourself, but you can't force that on others. My best friend adopted this attitude, and from then on, whenever I would come to her for support or advice on an issue I was having, she'd cut me off and say, good vibes only, remember, because I was bringing her down. I put up with it for a long time because I thought she was right, that I was burdening her. But then I finally realized that's not how real friends act. They're supposed to support and help each other. Thank you for the appreciation. Many people are bringing up how some people set up boundaries because they are going through something themselves and can't help someone else at the moment, or that the person will only come to them for negative things. I completely agree. Neither extreme is a healthy friendship. Story 10. Friends who constantly call you for advice but never take it and continue to involve you in their drama. If you're not going to make moves to improve your situation, stop asking me for help. Story 11. When they pressure you to do things for them or a certain way and act like you were on board the whole time. Coercion. They say they are holding you accountable to something you never wanted in the first place. Gaslighting. They take the high road when you get angry because they won't respect your boundaries. Play the victim. Story 12. Friends that are a one-way street. I was always the one to message, call, or make plans with them. I was always the one to check up on them to see if they were okay. I always offered a helping hand and was there for them. I decided to stop to see if they would reach out to me, but we never spoke again. Oh well. Story 13. I have a friend who loves to talk about himself. Everything is always about him. So, when I am out with my friends and he is in our group, we created a game where you have to drink every time he starts a conversation about himself. It has made it a lot more tolerable. To those of you who think we do it behind his back, I never said we do. It is something we have talked about with him plenty of times, and he is aware of it. He is not a bad guy at all. It is just how he is. He also does not mean anything bad by it. He is aware we do it. We are all just super close, so we have made a game out of it, and now he often catches himself doing it. Yes, he will drink with us. As I mentioned, he now catches himself often and will realize it and be like, "Ah, shoot." Then we will all laugh and drink together. I am also not saying I am perfect, far from it, and we have got games and jokes about me as well. Story 14. They never say anything supportive of you, but they will point out your flaws and can't wait to criticize you because it's funny to them. And then they follow up with, "You're too sensitive," or "It's just a joke." Story 15. When you realize that you are more yourself when they are not around. Edit. Wow. I didn't expect my comment to get this much attention. And thanks for the silver. Story 16. Conditional friendship. We're friends until I question you in the slightest way. And if I do, the relationship is over. Source. Happened to me yesterday. Goodbye. Story 17. When they refuse to validate you or compliment you. When you tell them about your accomplishment or something you're proud of, they reply with what they did to devalue your achievement. Story 18. Friends who say they'll help you out but bail when you reach out. Friends who forget to invite you or text you back about events or parties. Friends who undermine what you say in group settings. For example, you tell a story or make a comment, and they correct you in some way. Story 19. I have friends like this, but it prevents them from being good friends, having to censor yourself. I have friends with different religious or political beliefs that I think are absolutely insane. I don't endorse what they say, but I just keep my mouth shut because I know they wouldn't be okay with it. The purpose of these friendships usually revolves around sports or music. Story 20. This is subtle and a bit counterintuitive, but beware of the rescuer martyr. The person who is always rushing out to help and give everyone else their all, whether or not it's needed or whether the recipient is comfortable with it. They are good people, very well-intentioned and saintly in their generosity with their time and energy. However, sometimes it goes to the extreme, and then it's more a symptom of a toxic cycle where they only get meaning and self-worth when they are saving someone. Or maybe they keep swooping into other people's lives to fix things in hopes that someone will do the same for them. They may have good intentions, but they tend not to have good boundaries. They get over-involved in your life, take on way too much, and make everyone's problems their own. They end up overwhelmed, mired in drama, and resentful. And then they become the martyr. The problem with being friends with this type of person is that you're not in an equal friendship where you like each other, enjoy spending time with each other, and when there happen to be downs, you support each other through them. It's more like you're a project, everyone's a project, and once you stop being a project, you're now support, not just for them and their own problems, but part of the fire brigade for their other projects, which they've internalized as their own problems and drama. Story 21. You leave their presence feeling worse about yourself, mostly because they will have an excuse for what they say. When you ask them for anything, they are busy, but they will demand things from you. Most people also overlook that they will demand a lot of attention. Story 22. If you tell your friend that you like a person and you are hanging out, then out of nowhere they start to talk to the person all the time and then tell you that they like the person and get jealous if anyone else starts to talk to that person. Pretty toxic to me. But yeah, edit. Thanks for the silver. It's my first time getting one. Story 23. If you have had a friend for a long time, but you only seem to be able to talk about memories in the past, it could be a sign that you both have grown apart and do not have much in common today that you can connect on. Each time you get together or exchange messages, it's remember in high school, or remember that time when. I mentioned below that fondly reminiscing about the past, crazy stories, And inside jokes are the foundation of any solid long-term friendship. It's when that is only the extent of your communication that I think it becomes a red flag. I look at it from this perspective. If you were to have an intimate discussion on your future hopes, goals, or just confiding in each other, would it feel forced, awkward, or just unnatural? If so, it's likely because you both can't relate to one another, and that's when I think it's a red flag. The original poster's question is great. It's a red flag that most people ignore because it doesn't seem like a red flag until you really analyze and think about the depth of the conversation you are consistently having. Story 24. Personally, I have always had bad experiences with people who say everyone is their best friend. When my best friend in high school started calling 10 different people, including me, her best friend, that was when I knew I was just an accessory, and she was trying to surround herself with people to love her. Story 25. A friend of mine has been making fun of me for years, just making fun of me whenever I did or said anything, even if I was serious. I didn't realize how much it affected my self-esteem until I actually got really angry at her for something else and no longer considered her a friend. Also, she is mentally unstable. Now, that's okay, and as her friends, we want to help her with that, but she's not giving us a chance to do so. She just loses control and expects everyone to adapt to her. The real problem is that she hasn't changed. The same issues have been happening for years, and she's apparently not trying to work on herself in that regard, still expecting us to just accept whatever nonsense she throws at us. So forget her. Story 26. Repeatedly having to put effort into maintaining the friendship is understandable if someone is busy, but it gets to a point when it just becomes a one-sided relationship. Story 27. If the only jokes they are able to make are ones that make fun of other people, it's always a ticking time bomb with people like this. And one day they will suddenly turn against you without warning. Story 28. Giving you random gifts to make up for sustained bad behavior and making friendship transactional. Like, I don't want your junk, I want you to quit being difficult. Story 29. If they post about having a bad day but never answer anyone asking why. For example, friend, this day is terrible. I'm so sick of this. 5 different people in comments. What happened? Friend, message me, nothing, or no response. You decide to message. You get, just had a bad day, and then nothing, or get nothing at all. Or they tell you they'll tell you later. They won't tell you later. Chances are absolutely nothing actually happened. Story 30. Someone who is all nice, great, attentive, supportive, and so on, when you are alone but acts differently when other people are around. Do not make excuses for your friend. This is completely uncool. At the very least, it shows some deep insecurities on their part. At worst, it's a sign they are genuinely using you. Story 31. The ones who create and constantly dominate group chats. I mean, when they act like the alpha dog or that you're privileged to be in their chat or like they're the final word on anything posted in it. Story 32. If anything you all do together is always steered towards what they want to do, it's easy to miss initially when you're getting to know their likes and interests. Once you know them, it becomes clear they're just using you as some kind of emotional or physical accessory. I had a friend like this for a while. We always did what he wanted, and he wasn't always interested in what I liked or enjoyed. He would just sort of rope me into whatever he wanted to do. I progressively got to the point where I felt like I was being used. After a while, he pressured me into sleeping over at his place. I obliged, as we'd been drinking, and I didn't feel great about driving home. He took my keys and said something to the effect of, "You'll get these back in the morning." He wanted me to sleep in his room with him and share a bed, which I've done before with many other guy friends, so it wasn't abnormal. However, it was the way he sort of said, "No, you're sleeping in my room," when I was laying on the couch that made me uncomfortable. When we were in bed, he asked if I wanted to cuddle. I politely declined, but it also clicked for me then that I was only there to fill a need for him. If it had been one of my other close guy friends who reciprocated my interests and needs, I might have been comfortable with that. But I realized he wasn't interested in me for me, only in what I could provide him, like emotional or physical attention. To be honest, I don't think it would have progressed beyond cuddling. I was in a relationship though, so I didn't want to ride that line. But it was the way he pressured me into the whole ordeal that made me feel used and uncomfortable. I left early the next morning and kept my distance from him after that. It took me a while to work up the courage to tell my girlfriend about it because I felt stupid for being in that position and just generally felt used. Moral of the story: respect yourself enough to watch out for your own interests and needs. Just because you want to be a friend to someone doesn't mean you have to be, and doesn't mean it's the best thing for you.